I'm Courtney Thomas, and thanks for hanging out with me today here on this video in which I have achieved like the pinnacle of top knots ever. What a great day to film a video. So today actually I want to talk about, I don't know, basically that. Funny stuff like I am not the person who can achieve a fancy top knot most of the time, and so I'm going to talk about it when I do. I actually really want to talk today about being you and people opting out of that. I am one of those people who doesn't hold back a lot of the time. I am pretty self-aware. I am pretty self-confident in most things. And I tend to just do me. Like, you know, that whole you do you thing, so much of the time, that's how I roll. And I don't often put a lot of thought into whether, you know, people stick around for that or not. I am a human being. I do care about the people in my life who mean something to me, and, you know, whether they want to stick around, and, you know, I want to do things that make them proud. Absolutely. But like in this broader concept of, for instance, internet business and social media and marketing and all of this stuff where we're often told and conditioned a little bit to hold back on who we are and on whatever our level of self-confidence or self-awareness or how we like to show up in the world, like what that is, we're told to like kind of like just like pump the brakes on that a little bit. And a lot of times this applies to women more often than it does to anybody else. Not always, you know, and it certainly applies to all of us, but it's definitely something where like if you have a strong personality, there's often this messaging around like, well, but just like, you know, like hold back on that a little bit because you don't want to put anybody off. You don't want to offend people. You don't want to turn people off. You don't want to alienate anybody. Don't draw any lines in the sand, heaven forbid, because, you know, somebody might not like it. And I have maybe an interesting take on this, that's BS, you know, and recently I did typically at the beginning of the month, I do some intention setting. Sometimes that has to do with like kind of the energy and what's going on in the world. Sometimes it's just like, okay, here's a new month, here's a new day, like here's a new project, whatever it is. Let's start and let's get this together. And recently I did my intention setting and kind of came to one specific thing that really felt right, which was add it all together and then add 20%. And what this kind of came down to was like, I've been working a lot on all these different parts and pieces of how I wanted to be doing business, some marketing stuff, some of how I was going to move forward with my coaching business, just all these different things. And I really felt like I'd spent enough time working on the pieces and the hows and the whys and the wheres and the whens and all of this stuff. And it's time to put it all together. But then like dream bigger, girl, like add 20%. Don't be afraid to do this. And a really big part of that was, again, I'm in the internet world, right? You know, so I do a lot of online business. I read a lot of stuff about online marketing, all of this kind of stuff. And I see a lot of people doing it in similar ways. And then I see some people doing it in different ways. And then I also understand about myself, like, here's how I want to do it though. And I'm not sure if it's any of those things. I was struggling with that a little bit. So I was thinking about things like social media and the different channels that I wanted to put that and, you know, all this good kind of stuff. And there are like all these rules around that, right? Like you should only post a certain amount of times per week. You should only post on these platforms and you should post at these times of day for the best traffic. And you want this type of engagement and like, oh, you need to be doing this here and that and blah, blah, blah. And also not too much though. Never be too much. And I got really frustrated. I was like, hold on, hang on a second. Again, all the parts are there. But add 20%, like do what you need to do. And so I wrote myself again a list of then, okay, here's the broader intention. And then here's how I'm going to execute this. Here's how this is going to show up in the world. And the very first thing was remember that you're not bothering anyone with more content in more places. They can opt out. I'll repeat that again. They can opt out. So me giving more to the world of the things that I do, the content that I write, videos like this, that our video content to the world, whatever it is, like, again, heaven forbid, like 3 social media posts a day or something like that. People can opt out of that. If they do not want to see my face or get my email, they can sign off. That is not mine. That is not mine. And that intention kind of followed through again with all the rest of my how-tos. It was like, okay, more content in more places. And here we are doing video. And it was, okay, balance your online stuff with your in-person stuff. But then another how that came through with that was, again, you are going to bring all of you to both the outdoor and the indoor stuff, which means real life and internet. And again, the note, the asterisk to that was those people can opt out too. Huge, right? And it's something that I have really been focused on this month, and I've talked to a lot of people. And again, this is all mostly work related for me right now. Like kind of really coming into the space of don't be afraid of this. And maybe I've been holding back just like 10% more of who I am and like what I'm about. And again, how I want to show up in this world more than I really wanted to, and more than how I really am in person, which again was like another fun way and fun reason to do stuff like this, is because it's like, this is it. Like one take, perfect top knot. It might fall out while I'm doing it. And that's just where we're at. But this is a great note. One, it's definitely how I work with my clients when they're going through career stuff. Like, you can show up how you need to show up, and you don't always need to temper who you are and what you're doing and soften all the edges to make it round in order for it to work. That is not a thing. Every situation is unique, but I like to ask questions like, but can you add 20%, or can you just be where you're at and remember that people can opt out? And ultimately that's what we do all the time, right? With marketing or this or that, we unsubscribe, or, we're like, that email does not apply to me anymore. Or we're like, yeah, no, I haven't heard of that person. That is all totally fine, right? Because people are going to find you, and they're probably especially going to find you more if you do bring yourself fully out there in a very unafraid fashion, right? And I like to kind of extend this too, because really in, again, online, real world, all of our interactions, this is true. People can opt out. That goes for friendships that you've had for a million billion years. That goes for family members. That goes for acquaintances. That goes for, whatever, like groups that you've always been a part of. And, like we grow and we change and we evolve as humans. And a lot of times, again, we're taught to like kind of soften these edges, right? And like, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can leave it to the other people in the world, the people that, no matter your level of closeness, personal relationships or whatever, like they can opt out. I think there's really something to be said for really being #authentic. I mean, I don't love that, but it's the true real word for it. Like, how can we truly like express and be and act in the world how we really are and who we really are? There's something super important about that. And in my experience, sample size 1, it has really enriched the quality of my work, my working relationships, and absolutely my friendships and my personal relationships and my intimate relationship as well with my partner, to really fully be who I am at all times. And kind of, again, leave all of that where it may lay. Like, people can opt out. You don't always have to be the one to take it down by 20%. You can like keep it where it needs to be and even add if that's where you're at. So I hope this was a good reminder for you today that, just don't forget when you find yourself like holding back from who you are, again, whether it's doing the things that you want to do in business, showing up, whether it's in written, website copy, social media, however that is, more content in more places, or other things that are, more specific or whatever it may be. People can opt out. it doesn't have to be you that shapes and molds yourself to other people. Let me know what you think about it and how this feels for you in business, in life, if you've ever kind of struggled with this. And I hope that you'll go out there and kick butt and add your 20% in whatever it is you're doing with whoever you are doing in the world. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time.